Hello everyone! Tonight we're going to do something reckless. We're going to follow you, yes, you, through the life of a prehistoric hunter. No Wi-Fi, no Amazon Prime, not even a rusty butter knife. Just smoke, stone, and maybe, if you're lucky, a belly half full of roasted something. Right now, you're not in a climate-controlled apartment. You're curled on a bed of animal skins, your nose twitching from the bitter sting of last night's campfire. There's still a faint glow in the coals, a reminder that if you don't feed them soon, you'll be the one that ends up cold, stiff, and very regretted by your tribe. Here's the harsh truth. You probably won't survive this day. Honestly, you wouldn't even survive the morning. A single scratch could fester. A single stumble could break your ankle. And that's basically your subscription canceled. No reruns, no refunds, just game over in a very literal sense. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. And tell me what you think. Seriously, what would you do differently if you had to wake up like this tomorrow? Or what's the one change you'd want in the story? I promise I'll actually read the comments, because unlike prehistoric hunters, I don't have to spend 4 hours just sharpening a stick. Now, while your ears adjust to the whisper of wind and the mutter of sleeping companions, you also notice something embarrassing. Your brain is already calculating coffee time. Spoiler, there is no coffee, not even chicory root tea. Archaeologists have found plenty of plant remains from sites like Starcar in Mesolithic England, but tragically no Starbucks logos carved into antler headdresses. What they did find, though, were carefully arranged deer skulls, so imagine waking up to a housemate decorating with Bambi's relatives. Historians are still debating whether this was ritual, art, or just the world's creepiest attempt at interior design. You stretch, cracking joints that really shouldn't be cracking this early in human history, and crawl toward the fire. The ground is cold, damp, and sprinkled with ash that smudges onto your skin. Someone left a bone half chewed in the dirt. Classic prehistoric roommate behavior. You pick it up, sniff, and realize that not only has it gone bad, but you've also invented the concept of leftovers gone wrong. Add that to the list of things we never outgrew. There's a moment of quiet before the chaos of the day begins. The smell of charred wood mixes with morning breath, both equally aggressive. Beyond the camp, mist hovers over the grasslands where every shadow could be a deer or something with sharper teeth. You listen. The distant bark of a dog, or maybe a wolf deciding if breakfast should include you. Archaeological evidence suggests humans were already hanging out with proto-dogs by this point. So let's just assume that sound is friendly. Otherwise, well, congrats, you've become dog food. Your first job is simple. Make fire stay alive. You blow gently on the embers, coaxing them like they're moody teenagers who refuse to wake up for school. Sparks flare, smoke curls, and finally a small flame flickers back into existence. Congratulations, you've just saved the group from a day of chewing frozen meat and dying of gloom. Fire was literally the center of social life, and it still is. Think about how we circle around glowing screens now. It's the same behavior, minus the mammoth fat dripping into the flames. And here's the funny thing. As you're stoking the fire, your brain drifts to random thoughts. Like, why are mosquitoes already buzzing around? Yes, they existed then too. In fact, fossilized mosquitoes have been found with blood preserved inside. No, you can't Jurassic Park yourself back to safety with a clone. You just swat, curse, and add insect torment to your list of morning chores. Meanwhile, the tribe begins to stir. Someone sneezes into their fur blanket, 0 tissue boxes available. A child whines. An elder mutters something unintelligible, which may or may not be the earliest form of "get off my lawn." The group is alive, cranky, and hungry, which means the hunt must begin soon. But here's where things get amusing. Before you even leave camp, there's drama. always drama. Archaeologists once discovered coprolites, fossilized human poop that showed high amounts of plant fiber, but also weird, gritty residue. Turns out, someone accidentally ate dirt with their food. So while you're poking the fire, someone else is probably complaining about yesterday's gritty stew. Humans have always been picky eaters, and as you shoulder your stone-tipped spear, you realize this is your morning commute. Forget traffic jams and red lights. You're walking straight into a landscape where your commute literally might kill you. But hey, at least no one is cutting you off with their Toyota Corolla. So, fire-fed, belly still empty, and nerves buzzing, you rise from the circle of skins and embers. The chill cuts deep into your bones, but the air is sharp, fresh, and laced with a sense of possibility or doom. You take a step beyond the camp's boundary, where dew-soaked grass clings to your ankles. The day has officially begun, and survival is now your full-time job. You step into the half-light, spear in hand, and the world feels like it's holding its breath. The sky is still streaked with the last shades of night, a dusty blue giving way to pale yellow along the horizon. Your lungs taste the dampness of dawn, the kind of air that sticks to the inside of your chest. Every sound matters now, a snapped twig, the ripple of water in the marsh nearby, even the sudden silence of birds when something bigger walks through their territory. Tracking isn't glamorous. It's not some Hollywood slow-mo montage where the camera zooms on perfect prints in the dirt. No, it's squinting at scuffs in mud, broken grass stalks, and dung. Yes, dung. Get used to it because animal poop is basically your version of GPS. Archaeologists have found preserved dung heaps that tell us which animals roamed certain valleys, and by extension, which desperate humans were following them. Fun fact, some ancient hunters even smeared themselves in mud or animal droppings to mask their scent. So if you thought deodorant was optional, congratulations, you're centuries too late. As you crouch low, fingers brushing over a faint hoof print, you feel the softness of the soil. The print is fresh, edges still crisp. Your stomach does that annoying flip, the one it does before the job interview. Except this interview is with a very large animal that may or may not kill you. You whisper to yourself, please let it be a deer, not a wild boar. Historians are still debating whether hunters preferred to track in small groups or scatter across the landscape. But either way, you're not alone. A companion shuffles behind you, carrying a bundle of flint blades. He grumbles about being hungry. You give him the universal look of shut up before the prey hears you, and for a moment, silence returns. Your eyes scan upward. Broken branches. Something big pushed through here. Maybe an Aurochs, the wild ancestor of cows. Imagine a bull, but on steroids with horns that look like they belong on a Viking helmet. Good eating, but also good at rearranging your ribcage. Tracking Aurochs means balancing bravery and stupidity, and right now you're straddling the line like a tightrope walker with vertigo. You continue along the trail, each step deliberate. The ground tells stories. A paw print overlapping a hoof print means predators are also interested in your breakfast. Great. Now it's a race. You kneel, pick up a broken twig, and sniff. Don't laugh. It smells faintly musky, almost sour. That's the scent of your quarry. If you had TikTok back then, your niche would be tracking influencers sniffing twigs. Off topic, but did you know some archaeologists once found a 10,000-year-old chewing gum made from birch bark tar? It had human teeth marks still in it. So while you're crouching here, trying to read footprints, someone in your tribe might be back at camp chewing tree goo for fun, or maybe to clean their teeth, or maybe just because humans get bored easily. You press forward, nerves humming. The forest edge looms, tall oaks and birches casting jagged shadows across the grass. Your ears pick up a faint rustle, the sound of hooves disturbing underbrush. You freeze, and your breath catches in your throat. The world seems to shrink until there's nothing but you, your spear, and whatever waits behind that curtain of leaves. Your companion signals, 2 fingers pointing left. You follow his gaze. Yes, there. Movement. Your pulse quickens. You can almost hear it echoing in your skull. It's not fear, not exactly. It's anticipation, the same rush people chase today by jumping off bridges with bungee cords. Only this time, if the cord snaps, it's your face versus the dirt. The trail leads into marshland, patches of reeds rising taller than your head. The ground squelches under your feet, threatening to suck at your ankles. Perfect ambush territory. Good for prey, terrible for hunters who value dry socks. You crouch low, spear balanced, eyes scanning the reeds. Suddenly, a bird explodes upward, wings beating frantically. Your heart slams against your ribs. For a split second, you think the prey has bolted, but then you hear it. The steady crunch of something heavy moving. You ease forward, careful not to splash. There, a shape. Brown hide, curved horns, glistening with dew. It's an aurochs. Big, broad, snorting steam into the cool air. This is where tracking ends and the real gamble begins. Every decision counts. Wind direction, distance, whether your throwing arm is feeling lucky today. Hunters didn't always kill their target. Sometimes they just followed for hours, waiting for exhaustion to tip the balance. Historians are still debating whether persistence hunting was common in colder climates or mostly in hot, dry places where prey overheated. Either way, your calves are already burning at the thought. Your companion raises his hand. You both freeze. The aurochs snorts, tail flicking at invisible flies. Its ears twitch. You pray the wind carries your scent elsewhere, because if not, you're about to star in the prehistoric version of a rodeo. And here's the kicker. While your survival depends on silence and precision, your brain still manages to wander. You remember the child back at camp laughing at shadows on the tent wall, or the elder telling stories about spirits that guard the hunt. Maybe you even wonder, absurdly, whether breakfast cereal would ever be invented. Because honestly, eating berries and dried meat every morning is getting old. The aurochs shifts, you grip your spear tighter. This is it, the fragile thread between hunger and hope. The tracking has led you here, to the moment where you decide whether to risk your life for meat and firelight or retreat and gnaw on roots until your teeth ache. And you thought your Monday mornings were stressful. Your knuckles whiten around the shaft of your spear. The aurochs shifts again, its bulk rippling like a mussel, wrapped in hide, steam puffing from its nostrils. You're close enough to hear the wet sound of it tearing grass with its teeth. Your stomach clenches at the smell. Earthy, animal, alive. This is the thrill of the hunt, but it's not the hero soundtrack, dramatic slow motion kind of thrill. It's the you might die in the next 30 seconds kind. Your heart pounds so loudly it feels like the animal could hear it. Historians are still debating whether prehistoric hunters relied more on surprise strikes or on exhausting animals with the long chases. But right now, you don't have the luxury of theories. You've got one chance to turn breakfast into dinner. Your companion crouches low, glances at you, and mouths something. You don't understand the words. Prehistoric language wasn't recorded, but you know the look. It says, now or never. You tighten your grip. The spearhead is chipped flint, painstakingly napped. Archaeologists have found such points with the impact fractures, tiny cracks that prove they struck hide and bone. Right now, you hope yours is about to join that archaeological evidence. You rise just enough, draw back your arm, and let the spear fly. The world snaps into motion. The spear whistles through the air. Thwack! It sinks into the aurochs' shoulder. The beast bellows, a sound like thunder ripping through the trees. Birds erupt from the canopy. Your chest feels like it's collapsing, But you're already grabbing the second spear. The Aurochs lunges, blood dripping dark against its hide. Its eyes roll, white with rage, and it charges. You sprint sideways, mud splashing up your legs, your breath tearing out of you like you were about to cough up your lungs. This isn't graceful. Your foot slips, you nearly eat dirt, but somehow you keep moving. The Aurochs crashes past, hooves pounding like war drums. Your companion shouts, waving his arms to draw its fury. He hurls his spear, but it glances off the beast's flank with a hollow crack. Not deep enough. You skid to a halt, gasping. The Aurochs wheels around, head lowered, horns wide enough to gut you like a fish. Adrenaline buzzes in your ears. Your hands shake, but you force yourself steady. You remember, aim for the ribs, where the hide thins, where the lungs are. You brace your feet, wait for the rush, and at the last possible heartbeat, you thrust. The spear sinks deep, driving past flesh, and the Aurochs screams, staggering. Its momentum nearly rips the weapon from your hands, but you hold on, teeth clenched so hard your jaw aches. The beast crashes through reeds, blood splattering in hot sprays across your arms. Then, with a final lurch, it stumbles and collapses into the marsh. Silence, except for your ragged breathing and the distant croak of a frog that apparently finds this all hilarious. You stare, chest heaving as the Aurochs lies shuddering, life leaking away in thick, steaming rivers. You feel it, the strange cocktail of triumph and horror. On one hand, you've just won meat, marrow, hides, bones. On the other hand, you've just taken a life, and it feels heavy in your chest. Your companion walks up, panting, and grins with teeth stained by yesterday's berries. He slaps your shoulder so hard, you nearly topple into the mud. You laugh shakily, though it comes out more like a wheeze. Humor, even in this moment, bubbles up. You both reek of swamp, sweat, and victory. And here's your odd fact of the day. Some archaeologists once found a spear point embedded in a wild horse's vertebra over 12,000 years old. The animal survived the injury and healed, meaning it lived with a flint spearhead in its spine. Imagine that. It's like a prehistoric version of I Walked It Off. Animals were tougher than we give them credit for, and right now, you realize just how much respect they deserve. But respect doesn't fill stomachs. You and your companion kneel beside the beast. Its eyes are glazed, tongue slack, body still twitching in the last echoes of life. You whisper a wordless sound, half apology, half gratitude. Maybe it's ritual, maybe instinct. Historians are still debating whether these murmurs were proto-prayers or just practical psychology. Either way, it's your way of making sense of killing something that once breathed. Then comes the grim work, butchery. Your flint knife bites into hide, slicing with a rhythm you've learned from countless hunts. The smell is metallic, raw, sharp enough to sting your nose. Blood mixes with mud, turning the marsh into something out of a nightmare. And yet, your hands move with practiced efficiency, skin first, then meat. Every part matters. Hide for shelter, bones for tools, sinew for binding. Waste nothing. Your companion jokes as he works, pointing out that you've got blood on your face like a child at a feast. You shoot him a glare, but can't help laughing. Even here, with death steaming in the air, humor is survival. Without it, the weight of this moment would crush you. By the time the sun climbs higher, the carcass is divided into manageable chunks. You shoulder a bloody haunch, the weight dragging your muscles into protest. Flies buzz, already swarming, their tiny feet tickling your skin. It's gross, yes, but also familiar. Flies are just part of the soundtrack of prehistoric life, like the constant crunch of gravel underfoot or the occasional scream of someone stubbing a toe on a rock. You glance back at the marsh, where crimson water reflects the sky. The Aurochs is no longer an animal. It's resources, survival, life for your group. You feel both pride and relief, though exhaustion already chews at the edges of your bones. This is the thrill of the hunt. Not glory, not epic ballads, but raw necessity wrapped in adrenaline. You walk back toward camp, dripping sweat and blood, your legs trembling, your arms aching, and still, beneath the exhaustion, a small flicker of satisfaction glows. You did it. You survived. For today. And somewhere, far in the future, archaeologists will find the bones of an aurochs, marked with flint cuts, and wonder what it felt like to stand where you stand now. The aurochs body may have collapsed hours ago, but the work has only just begun. You stagger into camp with the others, each of you loaded down with dripping bundles of meat. The air shifts as soon as people see you. Heads snap up, eyes widen, and suddenly, the hunger in the camp is no longer quiet. It's electric. You'd think someone had just announced free pizza delivery. You dump your share onto a flat stone. Blood runs into grooves worn from countless meals before this one. The smell hits. Rich, metallic, primal. It's both appetizing and nauseating when you've been awake since dawn. Children squeal, darting closer, only to be pushed back by a harried elder who mutters something that sounds suspiciously like the Stone Age version of "shoo" before you lose a finger. Fire is the next step. The embers you coaxed to life in the morning are still glowing faintly. You crouch, blowing gently, feeding in dry twigs. Sparks flare, crackle, and soon flames lick the edges of logs. Smoke curls upward, stinging your eyes, filling your nose, making everyone cough, but also making everyone smile. Because fire means cooking, and cooking means food that doesn't taste like sadness and wet moss. Archaeological evidence shows that fire pits often contained cracked animal bones, split to suck out the marrow. You join in, hacking apart leg bones with stone tools. The thud echoes through the camp, dull and wet. Someone cracks a joke about how your rhythm sounds like bad drumming, and laughter erupts. Even here, with death still fresh on your hands, there's room for humor. Division of spoils is never simple. You've got a hierarchy to deal with. Elders, skilled hunters, families with children, everyone jockeying for the best cuts. Historians are still debating whether hunters distributed meat equally or kept a lion's share for themselves. But based on the glares you're getting right now, let's just say human politics are older than the written word. You carve off a slab of red meat, fat glistening, and toss it to one side. Immediately, two people argue, whose share is it? Voices rise. You roll your eyes because here we are, sitting on literal mountains of meat, and someone is ready to throw a stone over portion sizes. Some things never change. Look at any modern family barbecue. The first pieces hit the fire. The fat sizzles, spitting into the flames, sending up bursts of smoke that smell both divine and borderline carcinogenic. Your mouth waters instantly. A child claps, hopping up and down, chanting nonsense syllables. Someone else hums a tune, a repetitive, droning rhythm. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's the ancestor of karaoke. Butchery continues in the background. Skins are stretched on poles to dry. Tendons are stripped and hung, destined to become cord. Bones are stacked. Nothing is wasted. Even the hooves will find a use. Glue, tools, rattles for rituals. You wipe sweat from your brow with the back of your bloody hand, leaving a streak that makes you look like a very tired, very underpaid warrior in an action film. And because humans are humans, arguments pop up again. Someone swears they speared the beast first. Someone else insists they chased it the longest. You all know the truth. It was messy, chaotic, and you were all screaming like lunatics. But pride is harder to divide than meat. You joke, Fine, let's award the tail as a trophy. And sure enough, one hunter snatches it like a toddler, grabbing the last cookie. An odd fact slips into your head while you work. Scientists have found traces of burned honey in ancient pottery, suggesting people roasted meat with a glaze thousands of years ago. That means your ancestors may have invented barbecue sauce long before Kansas City claimed it. You stare at the roasting chunks of aurochs and sigh, too bad there's no honey today, only smoke and salt scraped from marsh plants. As the day warms, the fire roars higher, and the smell of cooked meat fills every corner of camp. The first bites are pulled straight from the flames, too hot to touch. You juggle a charred strip between your fingers, blow on it, then sink your teeth in. The texture is chewy, the taste smoky, juicy, with a faint bitterness from ash. It's not fine dining, but it's survival, and your body sings with the energy flooding in. Around you, people chew, talk, laugh with mouths full, because table manners won't be invented for millennia. Grease drips down chins. Bones crack between teeth as marrow is sucked out noisily. The soundscape is chaos. Fire popping, voices arguing, babies crying, dogs barking at scraps. Yet somehow it feels comforting. This is what community sounds like. Still, division always lingers in the air. One group mutters that they didn't get enough fat. Another claims their portion was undercooked. Someone grumbles about the smoke blowing into their face. You want to scream, "We killed a literal tank of an animal. Can't we just enjoy it?" But instead, you gnaw your meat and let the chatter wash over you. By late afternoon, the frenzy slows. Bellies are full, tempers cooled, and the camp smells like a cross between a steakhouse and a bonfire. Bones litter the ground, grease slicks the dirt, and flies buzz like tiny helicopters in formation. You sit back, wiping your mouth with the back of your hand, and for a moment, the exhaustion hits. Your body aches, your eyelids droop, but your spirit feels light. The fire crackles low. Someone pokes it with a stick, sparks spiraling up into the sky. Smoke drifts lazily, carrying with it the unspoken truth. Today you survived, but tomorrow the hunt begins again. And deep down, you can't help but chuckle. Because even with all this chaos, blood, fire, division, it still feels like the most ancient version of a family dinner, complete with arguments, overeating, and someone inevitably licking their fingers too loudly. You'd think a full belly would finally mean peace, right? Wrong. Prehistoric life doesn't hand out happy endings. It hands out new problems with the efficiency of a modern spam folder. Just when you've leaned back, meat-smeared hands crossed over your stomach, the visitors arrive. At first, it's subtle. The dogs, or proto-dogs if you want to be all scientific, stiffen, ears pricked, tails stiff. Their growls rumble low like distant thunder. Then you hear it too. A faint crack of branches. The shuffle of something heavy. Everyone freezes mid-chew, meat halfway to mouths. You could hear a pin drop if pins existed. Predators or rivals? Take your pick. Either one means your day just got complicated. Your mind leaps to the bones piled nearby, the smell of fresh blood wafting through camp. It's basically a neon sign flashing all-you-can-eat buffet. And sure enough, the first shadow slinks into view. A hyena, its head low, eyes glowing with the kind of hunger you recognize immediately. Behind it, more shapes stir in the brush. Hyenas don't travel alone. Congratulations, your campfire gathering is now an episode of nature's most unwanted dinner guests. But it's not just animals you fear. In the distance, you spot movement humans, not your humans. Tall, lean, unfamiliar. Their hair is bound differently. Their hides are cut in styles you don't wear. They stand watching, assessing, like shoppers deciding if your carcass is worth stealing. Historians are still debating whether prehistoric groups often clash violently or mostly exchange goods and jeans. But standing here, greasy and tired, with strangers eyeing your meat like it's Black Friday, you're leaning toward option one. The tension ratchets. Hyenas creep closer, jaws snapping, their laughter cutting through the silence. The strangers shift at the tree line, hands on spears. You realize you're trapped in a prehistoric standoff, and honestly, it feels like a bad Western movie. Your people scramble into formation, spears lifted, voices rising in harsh, guttural shouts meant to intimidate. You join in, yelling nonsense syllables that sound fierce even if they mean nothing. You stomp the ground, wave your arms, trying to look bigger, meaner, scarier. It's basically the caveman version of "come at me, bro." The hyenas hesitate. One darts forward, teeth snapping, but a stone hurled from your hand cracks against its side. It yelps and retreats, tail between legs. For now, the predators slink back, circling just beyond the firelight, their laughter fading, but never gone. You know they'll be back the moment you slip. The humans, though, are trickier. They don't scare off with rocks. They stare, measuring your numbers. A woman in your group raises a torch, the flames flaring higher, and waves it toward them. For a moment, you think they'll retreat. Instead, one of them calls out a sharp, clipped phrase that sounds almost like your language, but off. Familiar yet foreign. The kind of difference that makes your hair stand on end. An odd fact comes to mind. Archaeologists once found skeletons from a 12,000-year-old site showing signs of a violent conflict. Stone points lodged in bones, fractured skulls. Evidence that not all meetings between groups ended with handshakes and shared recipes. Some ended in chaos. You can't help but wonder if this moment is about to join that archaeological record. The standoff drags on. Smoke from the fire swirls, making your eyes water. The strangers mutter among themselves, and one steps forward, hand raised, not in peace, not in threat, just uncertain. You can almost imagine a deal. Trade meat for flint or skins for safe passage. But hunger gnaws at everyone, and hunger rarely negotiates. One of your hunters hisses, "We should strike now." Another mutters, "Wait. Let them show what they want." You sigh inwardly, because prehistoric politics are as messy as meat division. In the end, the strangers retreat, vanishing back into the trees, not out of kindness. You can tell by the way they linger at the edge of vision. No, this is unfinished business. They'll be back, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the dead of night. The hyenas howl in the distance, as if mocking the fragile truce. The camp exhales collectively. Some laugh nervously, others curse under their breath. You collapse onto your fur, exhausted but buzzing with adrenaline. The fire pops, sparks drifting into the dark while your mind spins. You realize that survival isn't just about spears and hunts. It's about territory, negotiation, and the constant awareness that someone or something always wants what you have. And yet, as the night presses in, a ridiculous thought crosses your mind. At least your unexpected visitors don't ring the doorbell and try to sell you extended car warranties. Small mercies, right? The tension from the standoff still lingers, but night has a way of reshaping fear. Once the strangers vanish and the hyenas fade into their laughing shadows, the fire becomes the center of gravity again. Bellies are full, the air is warm with smoke, and the tribe begins to slide into its evening rhythm. You sit cross-legged near the flames, a bone in hand, gnawing the last bits of tendon. Grease slicks your lips, but for once you don't care. You're alive, you're fed, and your body hums with a strange cocktail of exhaustion and relief. The firelight flickers over faces, exaggerating cheekbones, hollowing eyes, turning everyone into half-human, half-shadow creatures. Someone begins to hum. Low, throaty, repetitive. Another joins in, slapping a hollow log in time. Soon, a rhythm emerges, primal and hypnotic. You tap your bone against a rock, laughing as the clack-clack adds to the music. Archaeologists have found bone flutes dating back over 40,000 years. So yes, music is in your blood. Historians are still debating whether it was for ritual, communication, or just to keep spirits up. But sitting here, you know the truth. Sometimes you sing just because silence feels heavier. A child crawls closer to the flames, eyes wide, and an elder pulls them back with a sharp hiss. Then, with a grin, the old one picks up a burnt stick and begins tracing shapes on the ground. Spirals, dots, a wavy line that might be a river. You laugh because it looks like a toddler's doodle, but you also know these marks matter. Cave walls across Europe are covered in the same shapes, proof that long before Wi-Fi passwords, humans were leaving messages. Someone stands and begins to dance. Not graceful, not choreographed. More like limbs flailing in rhythm with the fire's crackle. Others join, stomping feet, waving arms, shaking bones as rattles. You find yourself caught in it too. Shoulders swaying, laughter spilling out as your shadow leaps high against the rocks. And then, as often happens, the mood shifts. The elder raises a hand, and the group quiets. From his throat comes a story. No words you'd understand. Prehistoric language is lost to us, but you catch the cadence, the way his voice rises and falls. He speaks of hunts, of spirits, of beasts too large to comprehend. His hands move, painting images in the air. The children lean in, eyes wide. Adults nod solemnly. This isn't entertainment, it's memory, history, survival's strategy wrapped in myth. You remember the ochre-stained caves, where figures of bison and deer run across stone walls. Archaeologists debate whether these paintings were magic for the hunt, teaching tools, or simply art for art's sake. But as you watch the elder gesture with soot-stained fingers, you realize maybe it was all three. Maybe humans always needed to turn survival into story, because story makes life bearable. Someone tosses herbs onto the fire, and smoke swirls thick and sweet. It stings your nose, makes your head swim slightly. Ritual, accidental seasoning? Who knows? Your companion leans over, whispering, "It smells better than you," and you laugh so hard you nearly choke on your marrow bone. Odd facts float in your head like sparks. Did you know archaeologists once found evidence of red ochre smeared on skeletons, suggesting burial rituals? It means even in death, people decorated, believing perhaps that color had power. You glance around the fire, at the painted bodies, the smeared faces, and realize humans have always been decorating themselves, even without Instagram filters. The stars emerge overhead, sharp and endless. The fire's glow makes them shimmer all the brighter. You tilt your head back, neck stiff, and for a moment the sky swallows you. Points of light stretch forever, and you can't help but wonder what your people saw in them. Were they hunters chasing prey? Spirits watching from above? Historians are still debating whether early humans mapped seasons with stars or simply got lost staring at them, the same way you do now. A hush falls. The elder raises a charred stick, points it toward the heavens, and mutters words you don't know but feel. Around you, everyone leans closer to the flames, faces painted orange by the glow. The fire pops, sparks rising like tiny souls. You shiver, not from cold, but from the realization. You are part of something older than language, older than memory itself. And then, because humans can't help themselves, someone farts loudly. The solemn moment breaks. Laughter explodes. Even the elder chuckles, shaking his head. The universe may be infinite and terrifying, but here, by this fire, humor keeps it human. The night deepens, meat is gone, stories fade, music slows. You curl into your furs, smoke in your hair, warmth on your skin. Tomorrow will be brutal again. More hunting, more hunger, maybe another standoff. But for now, in this circle of firelight, you feel safe. Safe enough to dream. The fire has burned low, its glow sinking into a nest of red coals. The voices around you fade one by one. Laughter softens, murmurs dwindle, until only the occasional cough or snore breaks the night. You pull a fur tighter around your shoulders and lie back on the packed earth. The day has been long, hard, absurd, and frightening, but now the silence of sleep is coming for you. You close your eyes, though not fully. Hunters don't sleep the way modern people do. Every crackle, every shift of the wind tugs at your ears. A distant howl rises across the plain. Hyenas again, or wolves. Your body tenses instinctively, even though the fire's scent and the perimeter of sharpened stakes around camp are meant to keep them away. Meant to. Nothing is ever guaranteed. As you settle into half-dreams, thoughts twist strangely. You see the Aurochs' eyes rolling as it fell, then the fire blazing in its honor, then the strangers at the tree line, silent and watchful. Memory and imagination blur. Archaeologists once found charcoal sketches on cave walls overlapping each other, deer drawn on top of bison, lines tangled with spirals. Maybe that wasn't art so much as dream logic, a record of nights like this when your mind refused to separate one story from the next. Your breathing slows. The smells of camp, smoke, grease, sweat, mingle with the earthy scent of damp ground. The comfort is rough, but it's there. The warmth of other bodies nearby. The faint brush of someone shifting under furs, the knowledge that you're not alone. Humans have always slept in groups. Safety is louder than solitude. Yet even as you drift, fear curls at the edges. What if the strangers return? What if tomorrow there's no prey, no firewood, no water? Historians are still debating whether early humans feared death the way we do, or if survival kept their focus too sharp for abstract dread. But lying here, with shadows stretching across your eyelids, you feel it. The awareness of fragility. Your mind jumps again. You imagine standing under the stars, pointing at them with a torch, wondering why they don't fall. You imagine spirits riding across the night sky. You imagine your own breath leaving your body to join them. The line between dream and ritual blurs, and maybe that's how myths were born. Half asleep, half afraid, half amused at the ridiculousness of being alive at all. And then, because humans are ridiculous, you roll over onto a rock. Pain shoots up your ribs. You mutter something that is 100% the Stone Age version of a curse. The man beside you grunts and kicks you back like siblings fighting over bed space. Even here, with danger all around, you're basically reenacting the nightly battle of who stole the blanket. Some things really never change. Odd fact for the night, archaeologists once uncovered a burial site where people were laid to rest with flowers. Yes, prehistoric humans decorating graves with blooms, which means even in the chaos of hunting and predators, people still paused to be tender. Maybe tomorrow, if one of you doesn't wake, flowers will mark the spot. That thought is both comforting and chilling. Sleep deepens, your dreams are strange, disjointed. A giant deer leaps across the sky, chased by stick-figure hunters painted in ochre. A hyena laughs with a human's voice. A child hands you a bone flute, and when you play it, sparks fall from the stars. You don't know whether you're dreaming of the past, the present, or the future. All you know is that your brain, like your body, refuses to ever fully rest. And yet, despite the nightmares waiting at the edges, you smile as you drift. Because for all its danger and absurdity, today you lived. You hunted. You ate. You laughed. You argued. You dreamed. Tomorrow will be just as hard, maybe harder. But tomorrow isn't here yet. And that, my friend, was your day as a prehistoric hunter. If you're still here, congratulations. You survived in a world where most people didn't. You woke up choking on campfire smoke, sniffed animal dung like it was detective work, hurled spears at a giant cow on steroids, and argued over who got the fattiest cut of meat. And when predators and strangers came sniffing around, you learned the most ancient lesson of all. Survival is never about comfort. It's about vigilance, humor, and just enough luck to stumble into the next sunrise. Now pause for a moment and look around your modern life. You've got walls, roofs, locks, lights. You don't need to scream at hyenas in the middle of dinner or worry that your neighbor might decide to stab you for a rib bone. Your food comes from a fridge, not a bleeding carcass. And when you crawl into bed tonight, your dreams may be bizarre, but at least you won't wake up with mud in your teeth or fleas in your hair. That's the real miracle of modern life. The ordinary stuff we ignore. Showers, microwaves, a blanket that doesn't smell like wet fur, the ability to laugh at cave paintings in a museum instead of by the light of a flickering fire while something growls outside. Still, some things haven't changed. We argue over portions. We decorate our walls. We hum songs by firelight, only now the fire is a glowing screen in our hands. We still tell stories to survive, to connect, to make sense of the hunt we call life. So, as you drift to sleep tonight, be grateful for your comforts, and maybe spare a smile for the hunter inside you who still dreams beneath the stars.